We're gonna get this party started. We're gonna get this party started. We're gonna get this party started. It's a Bible reading party. We're gonna get this party started. We're gonna get this party started. We're gonna get this party started. It's a Bible reading party. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. We're gonna get this party started. Good morning. Got here as soon as I could. And as soon as I could is 7:05. Whew. Happy Monday morning. It is 7:05 a.m. in Fort Worth, Texas. It is August 3rd, 2020. It is week 32 of reading the Bible every day. If I can read the Bible in 1 year, you can read the Bible in 1 year. 1 day at a time. That's where we're at. So it is Monday. Happy Monday. Let's see, what do we got here? I've got my, I got a stack of books that's getting ready to fall. That's what I got. I got to put something back in its place so that it won't be teeter-totter. This is my Bible that I will be reading today. And it is the New Believers Bible, compact version, compact version, New Living Translation, First Steps for New Christians. This is my Bible dictionary. It is the Nelson's Compact Series. Links to both of these pieces of literature are in the description if you choose to get your own. Let's see. Hey, where's my little chair? Okay. I can make adjustments. A stool is supposed to be there and the stool has moved. Let's see. Let me show you my Kindle download so you can see my study guide. Because some of you who are new here may be wondering, I wonder how she's reading the Bible every day. Well, I'll show you. It is with this guide right here. On your screen, you should see a white page with a gold box. And in the gold box, let me make sure that you can hear me. Make sure the microphone's up. Yes, the microphone's up. In the gold box, it says read on the left-hand side. That's what I will be reading. Yes, that's what I'll be reading. Esther 7 through 10 today. 1 Timothy 1 through 3 tomorrow. 1 Timothy 4 through 6, Wednesday. 2 Timothy, the entire book on Thursday. The book of Job, chapters 1 through 4 on Friday. The book of Job, chapters 5 through 8 on Saturday. The book of Job, chapters 9 through 12 on Sunday. These are the checkpoints or special events that will be happening this week, so keep your ears perked up to listen out for a joyful celebration. Prayers for all people. A godly mother and grandmother. 2 meetings with God, and a bitter wife. There's a quote here by John Townsend that says, the Bible stands alone as God's only perfect guide to life and growth. And if I were to go back one page, it will show you that we are indeed in week 32. And the theme for this week is answers and questions. Now, the theme for last week was for a time just as this, for a time just as this. And it was referring to Esther. Esther the Jew being selected as the queen to King Xerxes, who through some manipulation and influence from somebody, which was Haman, was going to put out an edict to eliminate all the Jews. And even though she was under the protection because the protection of the king, because she was the queen, her cousin who had groomed her who had taken her in as an orphan. Mordecai said, hey, just because you're protected now does not mean that you're going to always be protected. So maybe you were selected queen for such a time as this. Pardon me. Excuse me. I thought I had one more. Okay, so that was the theme of last week. It led all the way up to Esther being selected as queen, and we left off on a couple of cliffhangers to see what is going to happen. So this week, the theme is answers and questions. It says here, Esther implored King Xerxes to save the Jews in Persia. He decreed that they would be allowed to kill anyone who might attack them. The Thanksgiving feast, Purim, got its name from the Babylonian word meaning to cast lots, Pur, and Haman had done. The books of 1 and 2 Timothy are letters from the Apostle Paul to a beloved young minister. Timothy traveled with Paul on his second missionary journey. Later, after a visit to Ephesus, Paul left Timothy in Ephesus to assist the church there. The first letter instructed Timothy about how church members and leaders should function. Paul wrote the second letter knowing the end of his life was near. He encouraged Timothy to remain committed to Christ, to preaching the gospel, and to teaching the believers. The book of Job, which explores the existence of suffering, begins a section of the Old Testament known as the books of poetry, or the wisdom books. Although Job might have been written during the time of Solomon, its story took place much earlier, possibly during the time of Abraham. And let me give you one more show of what's going on here. This is the cover of the book. For anyone who's visiting this channel for the first time, welcome, welcome. This is what the book looks like if you want to get it on your own. The author is Diane Storts, and the title of the book is A Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year, a life-changing journey into the heart of God. And while I have the opportunity to share my screen with you, I would like to share the website that I have built. It is called The Bible in 1 Year. I built it to encourage and to assist those who would like to challenge themselves to read the Bible in 1 year. On this webpage, there are resources with various links to other channels and other websites. There's places to get a Bible or donate a Bible. There's some fun Bible games, and there's a blog that is updated regularly, all dealing with reading the Bible, why you should do it, how you should do it, things you can do to stay on course as you're reading the Bible. Any questions or concerns you can let me know about that you have on this web page. You can let me know right here. There's a button at the bottom that you can submit any email inquiries to. And if you know of a way that I can add some value to this or make it more helpful or just make it overall better, let me know and I will get back to you as soon as possible, or I'll just add whatever your suggestion is. That being said, let's bring it back. And yeah, the Wiz is the first one in the room saying morning, morning. Very good morning. Good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. I jumped the gun. I put 1 Timothy in here, and it's not 1 Timothy. We are reading the final portion of Esther, so let me change that. We're reading Timothy tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be 7 through 10, right? So yes, we are reading the book of Esther, chapter 7 through 10. This is a new week, but we're in the same book. So let me do a quick summary of what happened yesterday in the book of Esther. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. So yesterday, in case you missed it, in chapter 4, Mordecai, which is Hadassah's cousin, I want to say uncle so bad because in the movie he was much older than her, but Hadassah's cousin, or as we know her, Esther's cousin, Mordecai, requests Esther's help. So there has been this decree to go out to kill all the Jews, and Esther's cousin who was already a part of the kingdom. He was like a gatekeeper. So he had a small position, very lowly position. He said, hey, Esther, now that you're queen, you're kind of in a position of power. You still have to obey the king and you can only do certain things, but you're in a position to help save your people. Please go and ask him to get rid of this decree to eliminate the Jews. And that's what she did. In chapter 4, she did appear before the king. She appeared at the doorway. He told her to come forward. He had the golden scepter, which is kind of like a green light. She told him, king, sir, honey, bae, I would like to have a banquet with you and your right hand man, Haman. Haman is the one that really is up under all this mischief and evil to get rid of the Jews. So she has the first banquet, and then she says, you know what, I just want to, have an official banquet. Let's meet again. I really want to talk to you, but let's have another banquet. And at that time, Haman is thinking he's going to get some kind of promotion. He's thinking, oh, I'm going to be acknowledged. He's thinking, oh, I'm finally going to get, what I deserve. And so as night falls, the king has trouble sleeping. And for a bedtime story, for lack of better words, as a bedtime story, he has somebody goes into the archives and bring out, some old history, like, tell me something that has happened in the last couple of weeks or in the last couple of months or years. And somebody just happens to bring out the scroll talking about when the king's life had been saved by Mordecai. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot that guy saved my life. What do we ever do about him to acknowledge him? And the person that brought the scroll said, we didn't ever do anything. And so the king said, you know what? I want to do something special for this guy. So he asked his right-hand man, Haman, what would you do to honor somebody who really deserves it? And of course, Haman's thinking, ha ha ha, he's talking about me. Well, if I wanted to honor somebody, I would put on the king's robe and put him on the king's horse and parade him around the town and have everybody cheer and give him all types of accolades. And then I would set him at the table and, honor him with dinner, things like that. And so the king says, you know what? That's a great idea. That's what I want you to do to Mordecai. Haman was highly embarrassed because he thought he was going to get all that. So all that happened in chapters 4 and 5 and 6. Yes, that's where we left off. I got Eva Frazier in the house now. Says, good morning, everyone, with some hearts. Happy Monday. Yes, it's Monday. It's a fresh new start, fresh new day, fresh new week, 32 weeks. 32 weeks reading the Bible every day. Thumbs up. Yes, thank you very much. I'd thumbs it up myself if I had logged in. Matter of fact, I think I will. Sometimes you got to encourage yourself. Sometimes you got to give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a thumbs up, and I'm going to do that right now. Why not? Reading the Bible every day. Bing! I have now given myself a thumbs up. I should mute myself, but yeah, I'm going to give myself a thumbs up because I feel good. So that is everything that has happened up to this point. A lot of drama. A lot of backstabbing, a lot of underhandedness, a lot of people with power manipulating their position, and a lot of scariness because Esther is in a position to help, but she's not the queen by birth. She's the queen by marriage, and so she has to be very careful. So that's everything that has happened up to this point. Today we're going to finish the book of Esther. If you paid attention yesterday, you kind of already know what happened because I went into my Bible dictionary and I did read about who Mordecai was and who Haman was. And we kind of got a preview into what's going to happen. But let's find out together what is going to happen with Haman, who is the king's right-hand man, King Xerxes' right-hand man. Chapter 7. Let's see. Okay, yeah, chapter 6, the king honors Mordecai. I feel like I might have missed something. Let me make sure. Who's in the outer court? The king is asking Haman, what should we do to honor somebody? They went through all the honorable things in the procession to honor Mordecai. And here we go. I'm going to finish that last section of chapter 6 just so it can blend together nicely. It says here in chapter 6, verse 13, when Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends what had happened, his wise advisors and his wife said, "Since Mordecai, this man who has humiliated you, is of Jewish birth, you will never succeed in your plans against him. It will be fatal if you continue to oppose him." So even his family is saying, maybe this is a sign. Let's back off of this guy. While they were still talking, the king's eunuchs arrived and quickly took Haman to the banquet Esther had prepared. Because remember, when she first saw the king, she said, "Honey, I want you to bring your right-hand man Haman and let's sit down for a little snack." And once they got that little snack, okay, what I really want to tell you is so important that I want to have an official banquet tomorrow. And that's where he's about to go now. Chapter 7, the king executes Haman. So the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. On this second occasion, while they were drinking wine, the king again said to Esther, "Tell me what you want, Queen Esther. What is your request? I will give it to you, even if it is half the kingdom." Queen Esther replied, "If I have found favor with the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my request, I ask that my life and the lives of my people be spared. For my people and I have been sold to those who would kill, slaughter, and annihilate us. If we had merely been sold as slaves, I could remain quiet, for that would be too trivial a matter to warrant disturbing the king." "Who would do such a thing?" King Xerxes demanded. "Who would be so presumptuous as to touch you?" Esther replied, "This wicked Haman is our adversary and our enemy." Haman grew pale with fright before the king and queen. Then the king jumped to his feet in a rage and went out into the palace garden. Haman, however, stayed behind to plead for his life with Queen Esther, for he knew that the king intended to kill him. In despair, he fell on the couch where Queen Esther was reclining just as the king was returning from the palace garden. The king exclaimed, "Will he even assault the queen right here in the palace before my very eyes?" As soon as the king spoke, his attendants covered Haman's face, signaling his doom. Then Harbona, one of the king's eunuchs, said, "Haman has set up a sharpened pole that stands 70 feet tall in his own courtyard. He intended to use it to impale Mordecai, the man who saved the kingdom from assassination. Then impale Haman on it, the king ordered. So they impaled Haman on the pole he had set up for Mordecai, and the king's anger subsided. That's chapter 7. Chapter 8 says, a decree to help the Jews. So on one day, all the Jews have already got their date set out on the calendar. Oh, I need to change this calendar. So the cast of lots have already been, or the lot has already been cast for Purim, and they picked the date to kill all the Jews. And on one day, all the Jews were pretty much sitting around waiting for their death to come, waiting for that death sentence to come. And on the next day, the very person who had set it up was killed instead. That was Haman. That's chapter 7. Chapter 8 says, a decree to help the Jews. On that same day, King Xerxes gave the property of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, to Queen Esther. Then Mordecai was brought before the king, for Esther had told the king how they were related. The king took off his signet ring, which he had taken back from Haman, and given it to Mordecai. And Esther appointed Mordecai to be in charge of Haman's property. Then Esther went again before the king, falling down at his feet and begging him with tears to stop the evil plot devised by Haman the Agagite against the Jews. Again the king held out the gold scepter to Esther, so she rose and stood before him. Esther said, "If it please the king, and I have found favor with him, and if he thinks it's right, and if I'm pleasing to him, let there be a decree that reverses the order of Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, who ordered that the Jews throughout all the king's provinces should be destroyed. For how can I endure to see my people and my family slaughtered and destroyed?" Then King Xerxes said to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew, "I have given Esther the property of Haman, and he has been impaled on a pole because he tried to destroy the Jews. Now, go ahead and send a message to the Jews in the king's name, telling them whatever you want, and seal it with the king's signet ring. But remember that whatever has already been written in the king's name and sealed with his signet ring can never be revoked. So on June 25th, the king's secretaries were summoned, and a decree was written exactly as Mordecai dictated. It was sent to the Jews and to the highest officers, the governors, and the nobles, all the 127 provinces stretching from India to Ethiopia. The decree was written in scripts and languages of all the peoples of the empire, including that of the Jews. The decree was written in the name of King Xerxes and sealed with the king's signet ring. Mordecai sent the dispatches by swift messengers who rode fast horses, especially bred for the king's service. The king's decree gave the Jews in every city authority to unite to defend themselves. They were allowed to kill, slaughter, and annihilate anyone of any nationality or province who might attack them or their children and wives, and to take the property of their enemies. The day chosen for this event throughout the provinces of King Xerxes was March 7th of the next year. A copy of this decree was to be issued as law in every province and proclaimed to all peoples, so that the Jews would be ready to take revenge on their enemies on the appointed day. So urged on by the king's command, the messengers rode out swiftly on fast horses bred for the king's service. The same decree was also proclaimed in the fortress of Susa. Then Mordecai left the king's presence, wearing the royal robe of blue and white, the great crown of gold, and an outer cloak of fine linen and purple. And the people of Susa celebrated the new decree. The Jews were filled with joy and gladness and were honored everywhere. In every province and city wherever the king's decree arrived, the Jews rejoiced and had a great celebration and declared a public festival and holiday. And many of the people of the land became Jews themselves, for they feared what the Jews might do to them. That's chapter 8. See how that turned around? One minute all the Jews were in the firing line, ready to be annihilated, and because of Esther's obedience and upbringing and faithfulness to her people and to God, everything turned, and they were put into a position of power where not only were they spared, but they were given the right to defend themselves and take the land of their enemies. Chapter 9 is talking about the victory of the Jews. So on March 7th, the two decrees of the king were put into effect. On that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, but quite the opposite happened. It was the Jews who overpowered their enemies. The Jews gathered in their cities throughout all the king's provinces to attack anyone who tried to harm them. But no one could make a stand against them, for everyone was afraid of them. In all the nobles of the provinces, the highest officers, the governors, and the royal officials helped the Jews for fear of Mordecai. For Mordecai had been promoted in the king's palace, and his fame spread throughout all the provinces as he became more and more powerful. So the Jews went ahead on the appointed day and struck down their enemies with the sword. They killed and annihilated their enemies and did as they pleased with those who hated them. In the fortress of Susa itself, the Jews killed 500 men. They also killed Parshandatha, Dalphon, Aspatha, Poratha, Adalia, Aridatha, Paramashta, Adasai, Aridai, and Vaizatha, the 10 sons of Haman, son of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Jews, but they did not take any plunder. That very day, when the king was informed of the number of people killed in the fortress of Susa, he called for Queen Esther. He said, "The Jews have killed 500 men in the fortress of Susa alone, as well as Haman's 10 sons. If they have done that here, what has happened in the rest of the provinces? But now, what more do you want? It will be granted to you. Tell me, and I will do it." Esther responded, "If it please the king, give the Jews in Susa permission to do again tomorrow as they have done today, and let the bodies of Haman's 10 sons be impaled on a pole." So the king agreed, and the decree was announced in Susa, and they impaled the bodies of Haman's 10 sons. Then the Jews at Susa gathered together on March 8th and killed 300 more men, and again they took no plunder. Meanwhile, the Jews throughout the king's provinces had gathered together to defend their lives. They gained relief from all their enemies, killing 75,000 of those who hated them, but they did not take any plunder. This was done throughout the provinces on March 7th and on March 8th. They rested, celebrating their victory with a day of feasting and gladness. The Jews at Susa killed their enemies on March 7th and again on March 8th, and then rested on March 9th, making that their day of feasting and gladness. So to this day, rural Jews living in remote villages celebrate an annual festival and holiday on the appointed day in late winter, when they rejoice and send gifts of food to each other. So being a Jew is a religion. It is a select group of people. We've been calling them the nation of Israel all this time. I think maybe the last 2 or 3 books is actually starting to call them Jews, because up to this point, let's see, Joshua, Judges, Samuel, Kings and Chronicles, it's always been the nation of Israel, the Israelites. But now I think I've just now started using that particular term here in Esther, maybe in Nehemiah, because I know they talked about Jerusalem and Judah. But yes, very good observation. Yep, I'm looking at Nehemiah 5. The Jews who lived near the enemy came and told us again and again. They will come from all directions and attack us. So, whatever period of time that this is, they have gone from being called uh, the Hebrews or the Israelites to the Jews. We'll go back one more to Ezra, because Ezra and Nehemiah were pretty much the same story. You know what? Maybe they started calling themselves the Jews after they came out of captivity. Because I don't remember hearing that term when they, all up to this point, all those kings, back and forth, this good king, bad king, good king, bad king. It says the fall of Jerusalem in 2nd Chronicles. Judah's young men. Talks about Judah, which is the southern Israelites. Talks about Judah. So it is the same group of people, but they're being called different things in different times. The nation of Israel, then Israel versus Judah through Kings and Samuel. And then since Judah won, it's all about Judah. But since they were sinful and not following God, they got sent off into exile in Babylon. And it looks like when they came out of Babylon, they went from the nation of Israel and Judah, tribe of Judah, to the Jews. Yep, chapter 1 of Ezra, verse 2. Verse 3. Any of you who are his people may go to Jerusalem, Judah, to build the temple of the Lord, and may the God of Israel who lives in Jerusalem and be your God with you. Oh, verse 4. Wherever this Jewish remnant is found, let their neighbors contribute toward their expenses. So talking about building that wall, that's when I noticed being called the Jewish people. Because in Chronicles, they're still talking about Judah, the people, Judah. All right, chapter 9. Nope, chapter 9 is done. Chapter 9 is not done. I think I read almost all the way through, and then I saw that. I thought the name was a creed. Sorry if I didn't use the right word. You said so everyone else became a Jew. Yeah, because at that point the king granted Esther's wish My lord, if it pleases you, let the Jews, let my people rise up against their enemies and everybody who hates them. So all the people around was like, you know what? I've always liked the Jewish faith, so I think I want to be a Jew. Please circumcise me and let me know what the rules are because now I'm one of you. Please don't kill me. Yeah, that's what was going on. They were the chosen people, but I do believe other people could become Jews by converting and living as a Jew. Of course, they have to follow all those laws, the laws of Moses and the circumcision, and um, you can eat this, you can't eat that, you can touch this, you can't touch that. And this is Persia. So you'd have to do a little bit of history to see that the Persians and the people around Persia at that time, they were pagans. They had other religions, other gods, things like that. So yeah, look up. I was watching some really good documentaries on King Xerxes and Persia and the lost culture and ethnic group of the Persians. They had really they were a very technologically advanced and civilized society. They fought against the Greeks a lot, but they were not Christian. Well, can't say Christian because Christ hadn't come then. They were not Jews, but they were pagan. Let's see, where did I leave off? Let's start with the festival of Purim, or Purim. This is the last part of chapter 9 and verse 20. The festival of Purim. Mordecai recorded these events and sent letters to the Jews near and far throughout all the provinces of King Xerxes, calling on them to celebrate an annual festival on these 2 days. He told them to celebrate these days with feasting and gladness and by giving gifts of food to each other and presents to the poor. This would commemorate a time when the Jews gained relief from their enemies, when their sorrow was turned into gladness and their mourning turned into joy. So the Jews accepted Mordecai's proposal and adopted this annual custom. Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews, had plotted to crush and destroy them on the date determined by casting lots. The lots were called Purim. But when Esther came before the king, he issued a decree causing Haman's evil plot to backfire, and Haman and his sons were impaled on a sharpened pole. That is why this celebration is called Purim, because it is the ancient word for casting lots. So because of Mordecai's letter, and because of what they had experienced, the Jews throughout the realm agreed to inaugurate this tradition and pass it on to their descendants and to all who became Jews. All who became Jews. They declared they would never fail to celebrate these 2 prescribed days at the appointed time each year. These days would be remembered and kept from generation to generation and celebrated by every family throughout the provinces and cities of the empire. This festival of Purim would never cease to be celebrated among the Jews, nor would the memory of what happened ever die out among their descendants. Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, along with Mordecai the Jew, wrote another letter putting the queen's full authority behind Mordecai's letter to establish the festival of Purim. Letters wishing peace and security were sent to the Jews throughout the 127 provinces of the empire of Xerxes. These letters established the festival of Purim, an annual celebration of these days at the appointed time, decreed by both Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther. The people decided to observe this festival just as they had decided for themselves and their descendants to establish the times of fasting and mourning. So the command of Esther confirmed the practices of Purim, and it was all written down in the records. So that is chapter 9. Chapter 10, in the final section of the book of Esther, is talking about the greatness of Xerxes and Mordecai. King Xerxes imposed a tribute throughout his empire, even to the distant coastlands. His great achievements and the full account of the greatness of Mordecai, whom the king had promoted, are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Media and Persia. Mordecai the Jew became the prime minister, with authority next to that of the king Xerxes himself. He was very great among the Jews, who held him in high esteem. because he continued to work for the good of his people and to speak up for the welfare of all their descendants. That is the book of Esther, Queen Esther, who replaced Queen Vashti, who was the queen of the Persian king Xerxes, who was not the niece, but the cousin of Mordecai. So let me look up that movie one more time just in case. Actually, I think I've already got it. Yes, it should already be in the description. I'm going to copy it from the description and throw it in the copy it and throw it in the live chat. For anybody who may not have seen it yet, it really is a good movie. And yeah, it's called One Night with the King. One Night with the King. And I just put it there as calling it the Esther movie, but that is the link that will take you to that person's channel and let you watch it. And if you don't come back to this particular chat, it is in the description along with the books and actually a couple of other channels that I highly recommend, such as the Bible Project. I believe I've got that link in here. Let me double check. The Bible Project is a really cool channel here on YouTube. It is a group of animators, and I believe one pastor, and I think the guy's either a rabbi or he's a Jewish scholar. I don't think he's a rabbi. And they've got a website called The Bible Project. Yes, the link is in the description. There's also a link to another channel here on YouTube called The Chosen. It is a dramatized series of the New Testament. And there is my personal favorite church, online church that I like to attend. It is Japan Kingdom Church. It is an American pastor with a Japanese wife. It is a bilingual service that they do there in Japan. And if you don't catch them on Facebook Live, you can catch them here. They have their own channel. So that link is also in the description, and also the website, the link to the website. The Bible in 1 Year, all of that is in almost all of these from at least the last couple of weeks. I put it in there, so it's going to automatically generate for each of my new live streams. So every time I go live, even though the title will change, the week will change, that information will still be there. As soon as I get off on Wednesday, I will watch the movie. Let me know what you think about it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a very, very cool movie. On that note, you guys, it is Monday morning, which means as you guys here on the, I don't know what part of the time zone, but here in the United States, as most people are rising and shining and getting ready to go about their day, I'm getting ready to shut it down because I just got off work. So, quick outro prayer. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for the many things that I am blessed with, those seen and unseen. I am thankful for this time to read my Bible in the comfort and safety of my own home. And I pray that whoever comes across this live stream replay channel, that they are also encouraged to read the Bible in their own time so they can come to their own understanding, build their faith, build a relationship with you, find their purpose through you, and live their best life. That is my prayer, Lord. Amen. 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 On that note, I will see you guys tomorrow morning, Central Standard Time. That's Texas time, in case you didn't know. I'm going to put a little reminder in the box right now. Bam, bam, bam. Yes, the next Bible reading party will be tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until next time, bye.